Meanwhile, why was Egypt so reluctant to open the Rafah crossing? Take a look at my colleague Ghazali explaining this.
Since this war has broke out, Israel issued a warning asking the residents of Gaza Strip to move from northern part towards the southern part. Now, the southern part is the Rafah border crossing, which is a border with the Egypt. But Egypt has been very reluctant to open the borders despite assurances from US as well as Israel. And there has been multiple flip-flops in the last 3-4 days over the opening of the Rafah border as well as the terms and conditions as of who will be allowed to cross from Rafah border if it opens up. But we will try to break down that why Egypt has shown such a reluctance to open the Rafah border crossing. The first major reason is that Egypt doesn't want itself to be embroiled in this entire Israel versus Hamas war. Egypt doesn't want that all those who are staying in Gaza Strip should move into Egyptian territory and later it will get embroiled into Israel versus Hamas war, because Egypt feels that Israel will find an excuse to attack on its territory once the Gaza residents move into Egyptian territory. The second major reason is that Egypt doesn't want to be seen as a reason or as a contributor towards the displacement of Gaza residents, and this has got a historical perspective. In every war since 1948, the Arabs who got displaced at the time of the war were often assured that once the war gets over, you will be allowed to get in. But what happened that during every war, all those who left the Israeli-Palestinian territory were not allowed to get inside, and they became permanent refugees in the states like Lebanon and Syria as well as Egypt. But this time around, Egypt doesn't want to get into that situation. Now, once the negotiations were on to open the Rafah border crossing, Egypt said that it will only allow foreign nationals. That was the larger agreed upon point between Egypt, Israel and US. Now, Egypt wants that more aid should get in Gaza and less refugees should come out. But this is exactly what the opposite Israel wants. Israel is actually looking for more residents of Gaza to move into Egypt and less humanitarian aid to get in. Now, this is also now Egypt is also saying one of the other reasons which Egyptians official sources are saying is that Israel has dropped multiple bombs on the Rafah border crossing, making it inaccessible, making it inoperational, and it will not be safe to allow either people or the relief material to move into Gaza through Rafah border crossing. Now, despite assurances from US President Joe Biden, even today, the Rafah border crossing has not been opened. And all the relief material collected from across the world which has landed in Egypt is parked near the Rafah border crossing. Meanwhile, the foreign nationals or those having international passport or citizens of other countries and Palestinian Americans and Palestinians with other nationalities are stuck near the Rafah border crossing because they don't know that who all will be allowed to leave Gaza and move towards Egypt. Now, these are the certain situations for which Egypt was very reluctant to open the Rafah border.
Now, at this time when the war and of course the retaliatory action of Israel continue in Gaza, this has in a way brought some sort of unity as far as the Arab countries are concerned. There are continuous protests taking place in most of these countries against Israel, sentiment against Israel for what it is doing in Palestine. Take a look at how this war is now a catalyst for this.
Hamas, we have also observed widespread protest in the Arab world. People have taken to streets in Lebanon, in Iran, in Iraq, and different other countries in the Arab world to protest against Israel's attack on Gaza Strip. Different Arab countries have also issued statements of condemnation, be it the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia or the United Arab Emirates. They have all condemned Israel's brutal attack on Gaza Strip. Now, we'll try to break it down to understand that how Palestine has somewhere galvanized the entire Arab world, and it has got a brief history. For Palestinians and Arabs, the war didn't begin on the morning of October 7 with Hamas's attack on Israel. Rather, it's been ongoing since 1948 when militias expelled Palestinians from their homes and killed tens of thousands in what is called Nakba or catastrophe. Now, Palestinian occupation has also been a festering wound for Arabs. Repeated wars with Israel, be it 1948, 1967, 1973, and loss of land has been a festering wound on the Arab people. Through the 1950s and the 60s, the heydays of Arab nationalism, Palestine was the central Arab cause which catapulted many Arab leaders to power. Now, public support for Palestine has been across the world, and people have come out many a times in the past to support Palestinian cause. But peace with Israel has come at a cost. In 1951, Jordanian king was assassinated, and he was assassinated because he was seen to be somebody who was being soft on Israel. In 1981, Egypt's President Anwar Sadat was assassinated because 3 years earlier in 1978, he has struck a peace deal with intervention of the United States. In 2020, the US President Donald Trump has struck a big peace deal between Israel and the Arab world with Abraham Accords, in which UAE, Morocco and Bahrain, they all joined hands with Israel, they signed peace treaties with Israel. But even then, it was told and multiple surveys suggested that all these countries are monarchies and the people were not in support of joining hands with Israel, but that was sidestepped. And today, when Hamas attack over Israel and Israel's retaliation on Gaza Strip has been reported, people have come out showing the fault lines of the entire Abraham Accords, that how these rulers, these kings and the kingdoms ignored public sentiments and joined hands with Israel. Now, after this attack, perhaps the biggest reason is that people have come out, and it has always been seen in the past that how Arab kings or the presidents or the rulers in the Arab world could not afford to ignore the public anger. Now we'll have to see whether this public anger stays or it is just a minor eruption or it continues till the war goes on.
Meanwhile, at this moment, as far as this war is concerned, many world leaders, Western country leaders, are making a beeline to Israel. United States President Joe Biden has returned home, but he's facing protest over the Israel issue. Protesters demand ceasefire in Gaza. In fact, media has also said that Biden's other team did it comment was unsuitable. And what about the aid as far as Gaza is concerned? Even the Republicans are up in arms.
Scenes from Capitol Hill, the US seat of power, as people demand a ceasefire in Gaza after the explosion at Al Ahli Hospital in Gaza, killing several hundred people, and for which Hamas blames Israel. Protests against Israel have been growing in other US cities as well, as President Joe Biden returned from his 7-hour visit to Israel, where he said this.
It was done by the other team, not you.
His comment has drawn criticism from many in the American media, who think it as an unsuitable statement in the midst of such a serious and fragile situation. Republicans are also raising questions about aid to Gaza and the West Bank after Hamas terror attack on the 7th of October, in which almost 1,300 Israeli civilians were killed.
31 Americans killed. We don't know how many Americans are hostages. And we got a president that wants to give money to Gazans? Give me a break. This is stupid.
Of course, questions about continued supply of weapons and aid to Ukraine persist. Moreover, the cancellation of a meeting with Jordan, Egypt and the Palestinian Authority leadership after the PA president pulled out due to Gaza hospital explosion seems to have exposed America's lack of influence in the Middle East. So for now, a peace policy now seems destined for cold storage once again. The only tangible result of Biden's visit to Israel is PM Netanyahu finally giving in to let some aid roll into Gaza via the Rafa crossing. In New Delhi, Kadambani Sharma for NDTV.
Meanwhile, in some other international news, President Putin met President Xi Jinping of China. In fact, this was a full display of bonhomie between both these leaders at the China summit. Now, Chinese President and Vladimir Putin, they displayed rare bonhomie while welcoming Putin for the summit. Xi referred to him as a dear friend. This meet comes in the backdrop of the Israel-Hamas war and also with the ongoing conflict of Russia with Ukraine. This is Putin's first trip to a major global power since Russia's invasion on Ukraine. Meanwhile, Some domestic politics now. The rumbling in the Congress party are clearly holding up the first list of the candidates. The elections in the state of Rajasthan on 25th of November are just about a month from now. Now, despite deliberations by the Congress Central Election Committee, the names have not yet been finalized. The sticking points appear to be Gehlot loyalists who led the rebellion against Mr. Gehlot becoming Congress president in September last year. This was seen as their defiance against the Congress leadership. Today, Ashok Gehlot, the Chief Minister of Rajasthan, was at his best, the Gehlot special, at a press conference where he said, "Forgive and forget," in a move pointing out to Sachin Pilot.
The Congress's first list on Rajasthan still caught in a tug of war. Despite single names suggested for 100+ candidates, there is no consensus on the list, and the Congress Election Committee will have to meet again. A sticking point appears to be tickets for Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot's loyalists, especially UDH Minister Shanti Dhariwal, who had in September last year gathered MLAs at his residence and led a rebellion against the High Command's wish that Mr. Gehlot go to Delhi as Congress President, handing over reins in Rajasthan to a leadership of the High Command's choosing. Sources say it was the party's way of bringing Pilot in to lead Rajasthan into elections 2023, with Gehlot overseeing from Delhi. But that was not to be, and the Congress High Command was left red-faced. Clearly, it is this tug of war that is still holding back the announcement of tickets. And in Delhi, at the AICC headquarters, Mr. Gehlot in damage control mode, going on record to say, "Forgive and forget."
हम सब एकजुट हैं जब उनके साथ लोग गए थे उनके टिकट सब क्लियर हो रहे हैं करीब करीब उससे बड़ा उदाहरण क्या मैं दे सकता हूं आपको एक टिकट पे भी मैंने ऑब्जर्वेशन नहीं किया हो मीटिंग के अंदर उससे अंदाजा कर लीजिए कितनी प्रकार की हमारी कितनी प्यार मोहब्बत आपस के अंदर है मैं मुख्यमंत्री पद छोड़ना चाहता हूं पर ये पद मुझे नहीं छोड़ रहा है
But will the olive branch be extended to his supporters as well who went against the High Command's wish is the question. And then another startling statement by Mr. Gehlot that Vasundhara Raje, who refused to topple his government on principle, should not be punished for it.
मेरे कारण उनको सजा नहीं मिलनी चाहिए मेरे कारण उनको सजा नहीं मिलनी चाहिए ये अन्याय होगा उनके साथ में
The statement of friendship when there is sympathy for Raje as she is sidelined by the BJP, who have refused to make her the CM face in Rajasthan, is bound to create political ripples. Ashok Gehlot's press conference in Delhi, a political masterstroke by a seasoned politician. First, Ashok Gehlot went on record to say he is not the spoke in the wheel as far as pilots, loyalists getting tickets is concerned. But at the same time, he is also hoping the olive branch will be extended to him and his loyalists will also get their tickets. And then in the AICC headquarters, his statement on Vasundhara Raje is bound to raise political eyebrows. His statement that Raje actually did not be part of the conspiracy to topple his government comes at a time when Raje herself is not center stage in the BJP's power play in Rajasthan as they head into this election. In Jaipur, Harsha Kumari Singh, NDTV.
Meanwhile, discord between Samajwadi Party and the Congress is now out in open ahead of the Madhya Pradesh polls. That's the reason. No tickets for the Samajwadi Party candidate despite some consultation between the Samajwadi Party and the Congress. Now, this has left Akhilesh Yadav, the leader of the Samajwadi Party, fuming at the Congress Party, and he vows to return the favor to the Congress Party when they come seeking some sort of a coalition or understanding in Uttar Pradesh, be it for 2024 elections or the 2027 Uttar Pradesh elections as well.
अगर ये मुझे पहले दिन पता होता कि विधानसभा स्तर पर कोई गठबंधन नहीं है इंडिया का, तो हम उसमें कभी मिलने नहीं जाती हमारी पार्टी के लोग, न अपनी हम सूची देते कांग्रेस के लोगों को, न कांग्रेस के लोगों का फोन उठाते। लेकिन अगर उन्होंने ये बात कही है कि गठबंधन नहीं है, तो हम स्वीकार करते हैं गठबंधन नहीं है। और गठबंधन अगर केवल उत्तर प्रदेश में केंद्र के लिए होगा तो उस समय विचार किया जाएगा। और जैसा व्यवहार होगा समाजवादी पार्टी के साथ, वैसा ही व्यवहार उनको देखने को मिलेगा यहाँ पर।
आम आदमी पार्टी और समाजवादी पार्टी, क्या आपकी कांग्रेस की मध्य प्रदेश के चुनाव में उनसे कोई बातचीत हो रही, कोई अंडरस्टैंडिंग?
देखिए, बातचीत हुई थी, हो रही है, और अंत में इंडिया का जो अलायंस है वो केंद्र लेवल पर है। ये केंद्र लेवल पर है, चर्चा चल रही है, केंद्र बात चल रही है। अगर हो गया ठीक है, नहीं हुआ, पर उसका फोकस केंद्र के लोकसभा चुनाव पर है।
Meanwhile, there is a delay in the arrival of the cold, in fact, weather, but pollution, rising pollution is causing problems even now. Usually, Delhi is in the headlines at this time of the year with its worst pollution conditions, but Mumbai, surprisingly, has in fact beaten Delhi's own record.
A dark and hazy sky in October, a skyline that people in Mumbai are witnessing for the second year in a row. It's usually Delhi that grabs the top spot as the most polluted city in the country. But data shows how Mumbai's air quality is worse than Delhi for many days. Mumbai's air has already seen toxic levels for 14 days in October. The suburbs of Andheri, Mazgaon and Navi Mumbai are particularly bad. The AQI level is above 300 in these areas, which indicates very poor air quality. According to Suffer India, Mumbai's AQI this morning was at 166, while that of Delhi was 117. The PM10 level in Mumbai is at 143 and Delhi at 122. Maharashtra government says construction mess due to ongoing projects is responsible.
तर मुंबईमध्ये असलेलं पोल्युशन हे केमिकल पोल्युशन नाही आहे. इट इज मोस्टली जे धुलीकण असतात त्याचं पोल्युशन आहे आणि त्याच्यामुळे ते कशा रीतीने कंट्रोल करायचं आता आम्ही हे करतोय. ठाण्याला आता फॉगिंग गन्स बसवलेले आहेत. मुंबईला तशा बसवता येईल का, किंवा त्याला दुसरा इलाज असतो की त्याला मशीन्स मिळतात जे ॲब्झॉर्ब करून घेतात धुलीकण, तसं करता येईल का. सगळे ऑप्शन्स आपल्याला बघून घ्यायला लागेल.
IMD says that scanty rainfall and increased traffic are also adding to the air pollution.
मॉर्निंग टाइम में और 2 दिन काम विंड होने के कारण थोड़ा सा जो हमारा AQI इंडेक्स है वो पुअर कैटेगरी में गया था. BMC has set up one committee to look into how we can stop all such type of AQI जो पोल्यूशन बढ़ रहा है उसको स्टॉप करने के लिए क्या क्या बहुत सारे प्रस्ताव भी आए हैं.
The BMC has started the process of acquiring 30 anti-smog guns. These devices are proposed to be used to tackle the problem of air pollution, especially in winter. In Mumbai with Pooja Bharadwaj and Praveen Ji Rohit, Usama Shah for NDTV.
The police in Gadchiroli, Maharashtra have solved a very shocking murder case of 5 people from the same family. The assailants are from this family itself. This is a shocking story from Gadchiroli. Take a look.
Gloom in Mahagaon village of Aheri Tehsil in Gadchiroli. In 20 days, 5 members of the Kumbhare family have died. The 3 still alive are also ill. Shankar Kumbhare and his wife Vijaya fell ill on the 20th of September and died on the 27th. Their 2 daughters and 1 son also fell ill and died in the next few days. All of them had symptoms of food poisoning. The police got suspicious when the eldest son of the family and other relatives who did not live in the house but visited the house after the parents' deaths also fell ill. Police began to suspect the only person who did not fall ill, the daughter-in-law, Sanghamitra. Investigations showed she conspired with another relative, Roja Rametke, who lived in the village and was in a property dispute with the family, to poison them with thallium, a heavy metal poison that is odorless and tasteless and difficult to detect in food.
तपास में ऐसा निष्पन्न हो रहा है कि घर की 2 महिलाओं ने, जो एक नई शादी हुई थी संगमित्रा कुंभारे नाम है और दूसरा उनकी दूसरे रिलेटिव रोजा रामटेके, दोनों ने मिलकर के घर के सभी लोगों को पॉइजन करने की कोशिश की. एक हेवी मेटल पॉइजन यूज किया, किसी को नॉनवेज में, किसी को दाल में और किसी को पानी में मिला करके पॉइजन दे करके.
Among those murdered is Roshan, the youngest son of the family and Sanghamitra's husband. Sanghamitra, a BSc agriculture topper, depressed after her father's suicide 5 months ago and the alleged beatings from her husband, teamed up with Roja. They researched the internet for a poison they could use, thallium, and sourced it from neighboring Telangana.
उसके घर वाले, ससुराल वाले उसको बहुत तकलीफ दे रहे थे, उसके पति भी उसके साथ मारहान कर रहा था। इससे त्रस्त होकर के उसने इनको जान से मारने की ऐसी नियोजन की। और दूसरी जो एक्यूज है रोजा रामटे की, उसकी इन्हीं लोगों के साथ प्रॉपर्टी डिस्प्यूट चल रही थी 4 एकड़ की पूर्वजों की संपत्ति को लेकर के, और उसमें उसने पूरे परिवार को एलिमिनेट करने के लिए दोनों ने मिलकर के क्रिमिनल कॉन्स्पिरेसी की और सभी लोगों को ड्रग करके उनको हत्या की।
Both women have now been arrested and investigations into the source of the poison are still on. Report by Sunil Singh with Naresh Share from Gadchiroli and cameraman Paresh Bhojne from Mumbai for NDTV.